Chidambaram heaves a sigh of relief as Subramanian Swamy's plea is dismissed in the 2G trial court. But looks like Swamy isn't about to give up just as yet. And a closer look back home sees the Chennai Super Kings buying Ravindra Jadeja for a whopping $2 million. We will be looking into all of that and more during the next 30 minutes as you are watching the Late Night News with me, Linda Hercules. But first, we have the headlines. Relief for Chidambaram as the trial court dismisses Subramanian Swamy's appeal to make him a co-accused in the 2G case. Subramanian Swamy says he's disappointed and will go to the High Court. Congress welcomes the trial court order dismissing Swamy's plea. Kapil Sibal says after appealing to all the courts, Swamy will now have to appeal to God. DMK stages a walkout from the assembly yet again after Jayalalitha allegedly made remarks against the party. Tamil Nadu constitutes yet another expert panel on Kudankulam to allay fears of locals. Government to take a decision after looking into the panel's report. Ravindra Jadeja turns out to be the biggest draw at the IPL auctions. Chennai Super Kings backs the young Indian all-rounder for a whopping $2 million. It's a huge relief for the Home Minister and the Congress party after a long anxious wait this morning. Judge Saini dismissed Subramanian Swamy's petition that asked for Chidambaram to be a co-accused in the 2G case. This means that for the government, while battling the Army Chief Rao and with the telecom licenses being dismissed, they will have one less worry. While dismissing Subramanian Swamy's petition against Chidambaram, Judge O.P. Saini said, "Merely attending meetings and taking decisions therein is not a criminal act. There is no material on record to suggest that Chidambaram was acting with such corrupt or illegal motives as was an abuse of his official position." In the end, Chidambaram was party to only two decisions, that is, keeping the spectrum price at 2001 level and dilution of equity by the two companies. These two acts are not criminal. In the absence of any other incriminating act on his part, it cannot be said that he was prima facie party to the criminal conspiracy. And speaking to us after the judgment, Subramanian Swamy said he stands by the allegations and will now pursue them in the High Courts.
Sir, your case dismissed, your petition dismissed by the trial court judge. We've heard you come out of the court and say that you are disappointed at the day's proceedings and you will actually appeal to a higher court. What is your next strategy right now?
Well, to study the order, I have been briefly through it, and I find surprisingly that Justice Saini has said, yes, Swamy has established that Chidambaram and Raja together decided the 2001 price. That was one of my allegations. And the second allegation is that yes, he and Chidambaram and Raja together participate to take the decision to dilute the shares so that the Swan Telecom and Unitech could sell at huge profits to Etisalat and Telenor. But he said that doesn't show that Mr. Chidambaram participated with criminal intent. Now I'm sorry to say that this part of the logic of Mr. Justice Saini I don't agree with, because that is to be done at the trial stage. At this stage I have to show that there is a prima facie evidence that Mr. Chidambaram and Raja decided together, and in view of the fact that Mr. Raja has been held to be criminally culpable for fixing the price at 2001 and for allowing the share dilution before rollout. Therefore, if Mr. Chidambaram and Raja have participated together to make the decision, it is prima facie obvious that there must be criminality. That I will establish in the trial stage. But unfortunately, the judge has said, has applied the standards of a trial court, trial stage to a prima facie stage, and this is against all judgments of the Supreme Court.
Right.
And therefore I'll have to appeal. Sometimes lower court judges make mistakes.
We'll get a comment from Harish Salve as well on that. Mr. Salve.
No, I have to leave just now.
No, okay, in that case,
sir,
there's also charges been made against you by the Congress party saying that your entire case is essentially politically motivated, that your reasons to go to the trial court are politically motivated. So your comments to that, we've heard Congress Minister after Congress Minister they come out and say that.
I think, you see, the Congress people are all illiterates. They don't read Supreme Court judgments. There is a very famous judgment starting from 1992 called the Bhajanlal statement, where the same charge was made by Mr. Bhajanlal, and it was held that a complainant's political animosity or his political leanings have no bearing on when a complaint is presented. We have to go by facts. My facts have not been disputed by Justice Saini. The only question is the interpretation whether I have established criminality or not. And that, in my opinion, is prima facie established by the fact that Mr. Raja has already been held guilty of criminality. And therefore, Mr. Chidambaram, if he is a partner, then it follows that prima facie he is also there unless it is rebutted. And it can be rebutted only in the trial stage. So therefore, having established these facts, none of my facts have been disputed by Justice Saini. Therefore, it doesn't matter whether I have political motives or not. Congress also files cases against opponents. Do we call that politically motivated? Of course, routinely many people say that. But that is not relevant. The relevant is the facts that have been presented. And most of these Congress spokesmen don't do any reading and writing. How can Mr. Chidambaram be vindicated in one court unless he is vindicated in all the courts? So that is what has to be done. I can tell you that Al Capone was vindicated on murder charges and later on he was sent to jail in income tax. So this happens in every court, that there is a question of sustainable evidence and I have to see it before I can react.
हम लोग सब सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी को अरसे से जानते हैं। मुझे आप एक बात बताएं जहां उन्होंने कोई ऐसी बात की हो जहां कोर्ट ने उनके बात को ठहराया हो। आज ये पहली बार नहीं है कि वो किसी के खिलाफ एक जजमेंट की मांग कर रहे हैं या किसी को अपराधी सिद्ध करने के प्रयास कर रहे हैं। पहले भी बहुत से केस सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी द्वारा अनेकों कोर्टों में रखे गए, सदा बर्खास्त किए गए, खारिज किए गए।
But the Congress has hit out at Swamy, alleging that his petition was politically motivated, with Kapil Sibal even saying that Swamy's only choice might be to appeal to God next.
Mr. Subramaniam Swamy's petition against Mr. P. Chidambaram has been dismissed. Mr. Kapil Sibal is here, sir. How do you react to this?
Well, you know, the sad part is that responsible people in the political system, and I don't want to name people, and responsible people who are holding official positions in Parliament, who are targeting our colleague Mr. Chidambaram without reason. And this was only a political agenda. And I think that the system and individuals who function in the system should reflect on the level of irresponsibility to which they had stooped merely because of some political advantage that they might get. I think those who go on television channels a day before the judgment, and those television channels that excite people to say things against ministers of this government in the absence of any evidence, should reflect on the responsibility with which they are discharging their functions wherever they might be.
Is this a big relief for the government?
It's not a question of relief. We always knew that our colleague had absolutely no role to play, and this is something that I have been saying from day one. And despite that, and of course this was substantiated yesterday by the Supreme Court itself, saying that Chidambaram had absolutely no role to play. Yet, people who are heading parliamentary bodies, people were boycotting the minister, right? And responsible people in government, in opposition, and responsible television channels were hyping this up, despite the fact, knowing full well that the court is going to hear and decide the matter.
क्या वजह? दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी हो गया, मुकदमा खारिज। सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी को इस बात को स्वीकार कर लेना चाहिए कि उनके पास कोई प्रकरण ही नहीं था।
To discuss the implications of the court order, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad of the BJP, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, perhaps doesn't it actually come as a stumbling, perhaps a roadblock to the kind of campaign you had carried out against Mr. Chidambaram for the last 1 year?
But don't forget it's the first court. And as I said earlier, in the case of 2G itself, we have got many evidences that the higher courts have set aside the order of the lower court. In bail matters, in the case of sanction, the Delhi High Court refused to intervene. The Supreme Court not only intervened but even castigated the PMO. All these things are there. But as far as we are concerned, the political accountability remains in focus. because the apex court of the country have chosen to quash 122 licenses because they were steeped in corruption, scam, capricious, arbitrary.
See, for the last 1 year you've been saying that there is enough evidence against Mr. Chidambaram that his role should be probed. But now that the court has rejected, perhaps don't you think that you'll have to rework your strategy as far as Mr. Chidambaram is concerned?
We strongly believe there is ample evidence, both for his political accountability as also his legal accountability in terms of criminal obligations. The hierarchy of court will see that part. The first court has taken a view. But as far as we in the opposition are concerned, the political accountability of then Finance Minister, let me give you 4 clear evidence available. A, in terms of October 2003 cabinet decision, he was to be consulted and take a decision. If Raja ignored him, why did he do that? He kept quiet. Did he complain to the Prime Minister? On the contrary, there is overwhelming evidence that he ignored the advice of then Secretary Finance Mr. Subbarao, Reserve Bank Governor, that it should be auctioned. He kept quiet over the request of the Additional Secretary Finance on 9th of January 2008 that gave me direction. He ignored that. And there was a coalescing of the mind between Mr. Raja and Mr. Chidambaram that the previous issue should remain closed as startup spectrum and let future be auctioned. And the PM confirmed that in February 2011 in the Parliament. I was present. Therefore, there is a chain of events as to how. And by the way, Rahul, let me ask one question. How can you in 2007 fix up a price of 2001?
And back home, senior journalist and political commentator Cho Ramaswamy also reacted to the 2G verdict. He said that this is only a temporary relief for the Congress. He also added that this case is not a battle between Swamy and Chidambaram, but a battle between the people and the centre.
சிதம்பரத்தை குற்றவாளிகள் பட்டியலில் சேர்க்க வேண்டும் என்ற சுவாமியின் மனு நிராகரிக்கப்பட்டிருப்பது அவருக்கு பின்னடைவல்ல. நடப்பது சுவாமிக்கும் சிதம்பரத்திற்கும் இடையேயான மோதல் அல்ல. இது மக்களுக்கும் மத்திய அரசுக்கும் இடையே நடக்கிற யுத்தம். இதில் ஏதோ பின்னடைவு ஏற்பட்டிருக்கிறது என்றால் இப்பொழுது மக்கள் தரப்புக்குத்தான் ஏற்பட்டிருக்கிறது. 122 லைசன்ஸை கேன்சல் பண்ணி சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட் பிறப்பித்த உத்தரவு மிகப்பெரிய உத்தரவு. அதுவே இந்த கவர்மெண்ட் எவ்வளோ பெரிய மோசடியை செய்திருக்கிறது என்பது தெரிகிறது. அதில் யார் யாருக்கு பங்கிருக்கிறது என்பது போகத்தான் தெளிவாக வேண்டும். இது ராஜாவுடன் நிற்க வேண்டிய விஷயம் அல்ல.
Well, after the verdict, Congress cadres in Tamil Nadu started celebrating, but in a rather vindictive manner. The cadres burnt effigies of Subramanian Swamy right outside his residence in Chennai. 10 people were detained after the police rushed to the place immediately.
சுப்பிரமணிய சாமி பொறுத்த மட்டும் அவர் தேவையில்லாம ஒரு தொல்லை கொடுக்குற வேலை தான். சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட்டில் அவர் கொடுத்த அந்த கேஸை தள்ளுபடி செய்தது அவர் சொன்ன போய் குற்றச்சாட்டை சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட் உத்தரவின் பேரில் இந்த ஸ்பெஷல் நீதிமன்றம் தள்ளுபடி செய்தது. இந்த தீர்ப்பை பொறுத்த மட்டும் சுப்பிரமணிய சாமி பிஜேபி போன்ற அரசியல் கட்சிகளுக்கு அவங்க கொடுத்த பொய் புகார்கள் பொதுமக்கள் மத்தியில் எடுபடாது என்று இந்த தீர்ப்பின் மூலமா எடுபடுது.
Much awaited sports news coming up, but let's take a short break for now.